Hi, my name is Pedro Boreto. I will present you the research about decision-making support in stroke diagnosis process, an approach based on PROMETHEE method and decision model notation. Our agenda is an introduction, a brief literature review, our proposal, the case study, the results, discussion, and conclusion. Currently, stroke is one of the most serious ailments and the second main cause of death in the world. It occurs due to formation of thrombin in a blood vessel that ends up disrupting the blood flow to part of the brain and can lead permanent disabilities. But with symptoms diagnosed while in their initial stages, and also with the availability of an urgent service with a specialized team, impact can be drastically minimized. However, not every hospital has resources and knowledge required to deliver care for stroke event patients. This leads many patients to receive the wrong diagnosis and, as a consequence, to disabilities that could have been avoided. In the sense, not only the stroke care process, but the health area as a whole are characterized by a high level of complexity. This event involves many aspects, such as clinical guidelines, symptomology, different healthcare systems, availability of resources, etc. Therefore, process in the healthcare area must be flexible and capable of dealing with changes and conflicts is fundamental. Because of that, healthcare processes need decision support systems. So, support decision in healthcare, the use of several languages and methods for the business process are observed in the literature to efficiently manage organizations. For instance, DMN, decision model notation, are roles to fill the gap in business process models in terms of logical decisions. This enables which to present in brief the logical structure of the process and of criterion evaluating its ideal moment. And with this, multi-criteria decision-making methods, MCDM, becomes really relevant. MCDM cooperates with decision makers in achieving optimized results in complicated scenarios. Several methodologies that are characterized by their forms of calculation have been developed, and among the existing methods, the PROMETHEE 2 was chosen because it enables the quantitative classification among the different alternatives. So about our proposal, we know the stroke process is very sensitive to the time, knowledge, and resource available in every healthcare unit. And not addressing this may lead to very serious disabilities and even death. So this research aims to offer a decision-making support framework for the initial stages of the stroke event process, where the primary diagnosis and patient treatment decisions are made. This suggestion will make it possible in a simple way to assist professionals in decision-making in any environment. To this end, in the MN, for the operation of the framework according to the figure, healthcare professionals input the answers of a questionnaire into a logical decision-making process model. These answers are the same used to make a manual decision without the framework. And the difference is that DMN takes care of automatically guiding process decisions. And when the system encounters complex decisions, it goes through a stage of applying MCDM with a view to ensure professionals that decisions are made with greater assertiveness. And to explain this proposal, the decision moment analyzer refers to the reception of a patient with the suspected stroke at a hospital and the correct diagnosis for treatment, as the image show. After all, most hospitals are not familiar with the full process of stroke care or possibly lacking the proper resources to assist patients with these conditions. And this leads to the need for carrying guidelines that take time, a resource that is precious for this affliction, or even to diagnose errors due to the pressure for an immediate decision. So the first step is to addressing the criteria to be evaluated in their first contact with a patient with suspected stroke. Among them, according to the table show, window evaluates if the patient still has time to go through any treatment. The Cincinnati evaluates the signs of a patient suffering stroke. As to ischemic stroke evaluates whether the patient should be excluded from the suspicion of ischemic stroke. And the exclusion RTPA evaluates if the patient can go through a RTPA procedure. Then, with this systematic configuration, a decision model is developed in decision model notation to understand the order of the decision and with information are used in which moment. In a sense, first, the moments stroke suspect and within the treatment window execute simple decisions for immediate guidance. But if the patient is diagnosed with suspected stroke and he is within the treatment window, the moment of which ideal guidance multi-criteria must be evaluated to target the best possible treatment for the patient. So, according with the previous diagram, targeting criteria for patients suspected of ischemic or hemorrhagic stroke are evaluated in conflict with each other. Due to the complexity of the decision and the speed required to the process, integration with multi-criteria decision methods and into the scenarios become extremely relevant. However, prior to apply MCDM, choosing the ideal method is fundamental. The PROMETHEE tool enables comparing classification in different scenarios, which is fundamental in this case. The output of PROMETHEE tool method results in a list of patients on a scale from -1 to 1 regarding how much a patient should be directed to a given diagnostic. Where the upper table shows an example of accumulated points for each criterion J based on the previous questionnaire, and applying the scales from the table below, which will be evaluated by the multi-criteria method for 3 different A patients. Using the method's data, the calculation is split into 4 steps. The PROMETHEE tool have to be applied twice according to the goals of the criteria for each scenario. First, we normalize our input data. If the criterion has a max goal, use equation 1, otherwise we apply equation 2. Then, the preference matrix for patients in each scenario is calculated to use the equation 3 in a way that if your preference is greater than 0, the value is kept, otherwise it's substituted by 0. In the second step, the aggregated matrix is calculated, and in this case, since there are no weights, all criteria assumed to have equal weight, and it was calculated using equation 4. The third part refers to the representation of the superation flow. The first one is the positive in equation 5, which represents the intensity of preference of one alternative over all others. The equation 6 is a negative, who represents the intensity of preference of all alternatives over one. And lastly, the general selection of all alternatives is performed by the equation 7. And with this, the level of referral to each treatment for a given patient can be established. So, the two values obtained in the net flow are compared and the one with the higher value is chosen. For example, for patient 1, it has a strong indication for ischemic stroke. And this will allow the assessment of patient through the evaluation of how much a given patient is indicated or not to a specific treatment to be done faster and with more assertiveness, as well as comparing with previous patient, with control indicators such as the mean, or establishing whatever the evaluation is coherent, given any additional factor that may be perceived at any time. So, with this research, we get some results. First, we realize that research enables a systematization and a formalization of decision support in terms of using a mathematical and formal methods, MCDM with DMN. And in this way, the research presents a way of building a mathematical approach to support decision in a hospital system and to achieve a higher assertiveness and speed in decision-making due to its data-driven orientation. 2, this proposal can be useful in helping healthcare professionals, whether this be really complex in the need of robust MCDM modeling or more simple alternatives focused on gain time and assertiveness in decision making. And three, we also realize that such proposal can be an inspiration and lead to a range of future work combining MCDM and DMN techniques in the healthcare field, and thereby enhance the mathematical decision potential in complex scenarios like healthcare process. So, discussion a little bit about the research, first analyzing the work. A lot of healthcare processes are time sensitive. This way, the proposal contributes to bringing decision makers a mechanism capable of speeding in an assertive way the decision that must be made through the treatment process. Also, in the literature, little to no reference exists when talking about the application of DMN in this process. On the other hand, when combining the two techniques, only one author present the theoretical approach for this. And doing that, this work presents itself as the first one to approach the combination of MCDM with DMN model in the healthcare process area. And to complete the presentation, in our conclusion, this paper proposed a model that integrates the process of healthcare service modeling in DMN with MCDM to actually ensure assertive answers to the multi-criteria decision involved. Also, it was possible to see that the proposal is capable of bringing significant speed to a doctor decision, as well as ensuring a higher consistency assertiveness in the decision for each patient. Therefore, the model presented is just a simulation, and that is why future work is required to promote a better comprehension of the possibilities offered by this combination. Our reference to this presentation are here, sorry. And with this, I very thank you for the opportunity, and I'm open for any questions. My contacts here. Thank you.